we have a lot of books to talk about today. Hey everyone, it's Rose and welcome back to my channel. In today's video I'm going to be taking you through every single book I read in March. March has been the month I've read the most books in 2023. I read 26 books. I've got all my stats here. So I'm going to take you through every book and tell you a little bit about what I thought of it and my ratings. I don't want this video to be hours long, so we won't go into too much detail. But I'm going to start with all the physical books. I'm going to count them quickly. So I have 18 physical books to show you, and I'm going to go in order of when I read them. So I started off the month with The Stolen Heir by Holly Black. This was so kindly sent to me by Jenny Reads on TikTok. I rated this one 4 stars. So I would definitely recommend this book for the Cruel Prince readers. You should definitely read the Cruel Prince trilogy before you read this book, because this book is based on 2 characters and one of them is a kid in the Cruel Prince books. It had a crazy plot twist at the end, and I think this is becoming a duology, so I'm definitely going to be reading the next book. My little note from Jenny. I would definitely recommend this if you've read the Cruel Prince trilogy first. If not, I'd recommend the Cruel Prince trilogy and then read this. Next up, I read Secretly Yours by Tessa Bailey, and I rated this one 4 stars as well. This was so kindly sent to me by Avon Books, the publishers of this book, and I did a whole reading vlog which is up on my page, so you can check that out if you'd like to. This is a rom-com. Tessa Bailey is the queen of rom-coms. I read 8 of her books this year already, and I think I've loved every single one of them. So Hallie had a crush on Julian when they were younger. They shared a kiss one time, and then years later his family's back in town. And she gets drunk one time and starts sending him letters from someone from his past, and she ends them with Secretly Yours. And he is kind of falling for her in real life and then falling for the person sending him anonymous letters, and he's not realising they're both the same people. I really liked it. You have anxiety or OCD, one of the two. Either way, I thought the representation was very good. Really enjoyed it. I definitely recommend. Next up, I reread It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover so that I could read It Starts With Us by Colleen Hoover. So when I originally read It Ends With Us, I rated it 5 stars. It was the first book I'd read that wasn't a thriller in literally years. So I think the 5 stars had something to do with the fact it was different. Rereading it, I rated it 4 stars. I don't want to say I enjoyed it because it's very dark. Check trigger warnings. I hate Ryle. I did not like Atlas in this book as much as everyone else did. However, I liked him more in the second book. I recommend this book if you can handle the trigger warnings, because this book is in no way a romance. It got marketed as a romance, but it's more about breaking cycles of abuse and domestic violence. So if that's something you want to read about, read it. If not, then maybe don't read this one. And It Starts With Us is the sequel, but it kind of goes forward and backwards in time because she used to write journal entries when she was younger, and Atlas is like reading them so that he can learn more about how she was the way she was and what was really happening behind the scenes. I liked Atlas a lot more in this one. Couldn't give it 5 stars because Ryle was in it. I mean, I know that it was relevant for him to be in it, but he just annoys me so much that this was a 4 star. I did really enjoy it though. This one is my favourite of the 2. What did I read next? Broken Fae. So I read Broken Fae by Caroline Peckham and Susan Valenti. This is part of the Ruthless Boys of the Zodiac series. There are 5 books and it takes place 5 years before the events of Zodiac Academy. This book was so good. I read maybe 500 pages in a day. I was so hooked. So much is constantly happening in this series. And something happened at the end of book 3 which made me take a break from the series because I wanted time to heal. And then I got what I needed from this book. It happened. Slowly but surely. This is dark romance with like thriller mystery aspects. It's also fantasy. It's kind of a bit of everything. I would definitely recommend this series. Check trigger warnings. It is very dark. Basically the whole plot of it is her brother dies and it's ruled as a suicide and like gang gone wrong, but she's like, he would never be in a gang, he would never be taking these drugs. So she goes to the school that he was at because she gets a tip off that one of the kings did it, and there's like 4 kings of this school, so she's trying to figure out what really happened to her brother. Oh, it was so good. I need to stop talking about this, otherwise I'm never going to carry on with this video. Next, I read these 4 books. I read the An Ember in the Ashes quartet. I did call it a duology in my other video. It's not a duology. This was YA fantasy. It did get darker sometimes. I filmed a reading vlog for this. Again, it's up on my channel if you'd like to check it out. I rated the first 3 4 stars. So we have, they're falling in my hands, An Ember in the Ashes. I think A Torch Against the Night is book 2 and A Reaper at the Gates is book 3. I rated all of them 4 stars, and then the last book, A Sky Beyond the Storm, was 3 stars, not because it was bad. I keep saying this anytime I mention this series, but my brain could not keep up with the fact that we were now at 5 different POVs. They all had 2 different names. They had like a regular name and then like the Soul Reaper, the Blood Strike, and it was just, they were all in different places, so we were skipping not only different places, different names, different points of view, and I just couldn't keep up. But I did enjoy the story. It had crazy storylines and it's put me in my fantasy era. I am reading, I have so many plans for April, but you'll see that. Up next is one of the best trilogies I have read in a long time. We have the Unbecoming of Mara Dyer trilogy. I'm going to take these out the box because I need to show you. Depending on where you are watching this video, you might not think this is cool, but in the UK, all the paperbacks are so stiff and just, look, you can actually open the book and hold it open. This does not happen in the UK. Okay, let me compare. It's a brick. We have The Unbecoming of Mara Dyer, which was a 5-star read. This is, I don't know how to explain it. It's a romantic suspense thriller, but the romance is a very subplot in the first book. I'll read you the blurb. I think that's the best way to describe it. You wake up with no memory of the last few days. Your friends were killed in an accident that you miraculously survived. Your family has to move to another state to escape the fallout. You meet a mysterious boy who seems to know more about your past than you do. You start seeing things that can't possibly be there. You're afraid you are losing your mind. Can you keep it together? Mara Dyer is about to find out. I rated all 3 books 5 stars. The Unbecoming of Mara Dyer, The Evolution of Mara Dyer, and The Retribution of Mara Dyer. I read each of these books in one sitting, I'm pretty sure, because I read 2 of these in my 24-hour readathon, again, on my page. They are very dark though. There are a lot of trigger warnings. I would say the main ones I can actually say: forced institutionalization, mental illness, psychosis. I will leave, all my links are down below. You can find the trigger warnings on my story graph. But definitely recommend if you can handle the trigger warnings, because it does get very dark and there's a lot of no one believes her, a lot of her feeling out of control. So definitely bear that in mind. I'm going to put these back in this box before it breaks. These were very, very good. Oh, I almost want to reread them already. I read them like 2 weeks ago. I need to calm down. I'm just sorting through. I have like 5 piles of these books on the floor. I read Crazy Rich Asians and rated it 3 stars. The writing in this book is so small. Can you see? Oh my God, this book is like 400 pages, but the audiobook was like 14 hours because of how small the writing is. It wasn't bad. There was a lot of drama, there was a lot of different storylines. It was very fun, a lot happened. I just didn't get on with the writing style. I will say it talks a lot about racial prejudice and what the characters face because they're Asian, and all the racial prejudice that they feel and see happening and experience. There were just some comments about other things that I didn't really like. There was a comment, I'm not going to be able to find it, something to do with autism that I just didn't agree with, so that's why I rated it 3 stars. Moving on, I then read The Handmaid's Tale, which I rated 4 stars. This book was so beautifully written. It isn't a horror book, although arguably is, but there's a trope in horror books where the characters are talking about some absolutely horrific things happening, but they're not reacting to it. They're like acting as if it's just normal, and that scares me. And this is kind of what was going on in this book. They were just kind of like, well, this is the way it is. And it was heartbreaking. I rated it 4 stars. Kind of broke me a bit. Then I read Her Majesty's Royal Coven, and I figured out that I loved witch books. This is a book. The tagline says, "This is one government department you don't want to mess with." It's about witches. They protect crown and country from magical forces and other worldly evil. There's a lot of talk on race and gender and equality, and it was so good, so magical, and I just really enjoyed it. I rated it 4 stars. Then I filmed yet another reading vlog. Are we sensing a theme? I do like challenging myself. I read the entire Inheritance Games trilogy. I think the timer was 13 hours total, which is one of my recent videos. And I thought this series was going to be more like This Lie Will Kill You by Chelsea Pitcher, which is where people will go to compete in like a murder mystery, but the murder mystery turns real and they have to survive to win the prize. That kind of wasn't what this was. There was a lot of mystery. I understood where everyone was coming from in the love triangle, and I know that the main question is, are you team Jameson or Grayson? I'm team Xander. I thought he was fantastic. I know that he might not be everyone's favourite, but he is my favourite. I rated the first one 5 stars. It was so good. I rated the second one 4 stars. This is the Hawthorne Legacy. And then I rated the third one, The Final Gambit, 4 stars as well. Overall, I would definitely recommend this series, especially if you're in a reading slump, because it will get you straight back out of it. So much happens. I won't tell you much more because I have a whole reading vlog dedicated to it, which you can go check out if you would like to hear my more in-depth thoughts about it. I think that is all the physical books. Let's do books I read on my Kindle. I read some Melanie Harlow books. Her French series, there are 3 books and then a novella. I rated French 4.5 stars. It's basically about this girl that gets left at the altar, so she takes the honeymoon anyway in France and she ends up falling for a bartender. We have Forked and Flawed, which were both 3 stars, and then I rated the novella 4 stars as well. I don't have much to say about this series because honestly, March feels like, I feel like the books I read at the beginning of the month, I read months ago. But yeah, they were good, they were quick, they were short. I also read 2 books by Elsie Silver, Flawless, which I rated 5 stars, and Heartless, which I rated 4 stars. These are like cowboy, small town rom-coms. They were really good. I was hoping in the first book that the next book would be about the girl's best friend, and then it was. And it was just so good. The first one is One of Us is Famous, and the second one is Single Dad Nanny. And they're both very good. I can't wait to read the last one. I don't know what it's called. I can't remember for the life of me. But I know that I can't wait to read it. I read Miles Ever After by T.L. Swan. which is the extended epilogues for the Miles High series. So it's the Stopover, the Takeover, the Casanova and the Do-Over, which are all there. I rated this 4 stars. I really enjoyed getting to see all of them years on later because I feel so connected to all the characters. It does deal with infertility, so be careful about that. And lastly, I read Birthday Girl by Penelope Douglas and rated it 4 stars. I really enjoyed it. It was really fun. I didn't know how it was going to go because I've seen a lot of mixed reviews, but I ended up being on the liking it side. And I think that is everything. Oh my god, there are so many books around me, but I can finally put them all away. I've been waiting till I film this video to put them all away, and it's finally time. Let me know what your favourite read of March has been, and let me know if you've read any of these and what you thought. I'd like to thank you all very much for watching. I hope you have a lovely day, and I will see you in another video. Bye!